Shayna Palamchak is a cosplayer who has turned her high school hobby into a full-time job as a prop maker. Growing up, she felt a connection to the characters she experienced in video games and anime. That connection led to the desire to embody those characters. Even her cosplay title was influenced by one of her favorite games.
The name itself comes from Majora's Mask, which was a favorite game of mine as a kid. It comes from Termina Field, the place in the game. So, when I first started to get into cosplay and decided I was gonna post things online, I wanted a name other than my own name. So I picked Termina because it was from my childhood and the game was really important to me, so it made sense. I had always wanted to try it, even like in high school or middle school. I forget exactly when I discovered that it was a thing, but finally when I actually met some friends that were into cosplay and they invited me out to my first convention, I took the chance and I made a costume for it, and I never wanted to stop after that. My very first cosplay that I ever made for myself was Midna from Twilight Princess, and I still have it, but I never wear it at this point because I've gotten a lot better at costume making since then, and I'd like to remake it if I were to ever do the character again. I went to school for art and I got my degree in art, but it was more of a studio art, fine art type of thing. So when it comes to costume making, I am self-taught, but I had a lot of experience in painting and I had a lot of experience in drawing and sculpting and design in general, so it became a more easy thing for me to transition between the two. Sewing was the most difficult thing I had to learn because I didn't have a background in sewing when I started like I did with all the other forms of art. I was very lucky to have my mom, who was very experienced in sewing, so she has taught me most of what I know when it comes to sewing. And I'll look up new things like YouTube tutorials and things like that so that I can keep furthering what I do know and add to it. I try to make everything that I can on a costume. If I can make it, I will make it. And if I don't know how to make it, I'll learn how to make it. Making the super accurate character and making your own design is a lot of fun for different reasons. Like with the original designs, you get to do whatever you want with it and you get to put your own twist on it, and there's a lot of creative license that go with it. But there's also the challenge of making something exactly as close as you can get to the original source, and it's hard to do that, especially when you're talking about anime characters, because a lot of things that they wear do not work in real life. So you have to figure out, how am I going to make this thing stay on my body but still look like that? It's a hard challenge, but it's rewarding in the end when you finally have that finished costume.
One of the many forms of cosplay that tests a cosplayer's creative mind is gajinkas. Gajinkas are animal characters that cosplayers turn human. Termina has quite a fondness for this, with many of her costume creations stemming from her favorite Pokemon.
First of all, I'll look at the original artwork of the Pokemon itself, and then I'll decide, okay, what does this Pokemon make me think of? So for the Gyarados, the red Gyarados, it looked like it was like a sea serpent type thing, like some sort of underwater dragon, so I incorporated the scales, and even though the Gyarados itself doesn't have visible scales, I would assume that it would in real life, so I add scales to my armor. Well, it's got a big long tail, so I need to somehow have a tail but also have legs to walk on, so I get the challenge of figuring out how to incorporate a tail but also be able to walk. And so I came up with a skirt that turned into a tail at the end. And you take elements of the design in the Pokemon itself, like the horn that's on its head, so I make a horn that goes on my head to replicate that, and the fins on the side of the face I replicated by putting fins on my shoulders that came out right next to my face. And it's a lot of fun because you get to put your own twist on it. I made a Scyther Gajinka one time, and I made these boots to replicate his legs, and I ended up not being able to bend my ankles. So I couldn't go downstairs at all. I could go upstairs, but I couldn't go downstairs. That was one of those costumes that I wore once and never put back on. Like, I've had people chase me down at a convention just to tell me that they recognized that I was a red Gyarados and that they grew up with Pokemon too, and that seeing somebody having taken that character and brought it to life is something they love seeing. And it's one of my favorite things to do because I get to take something that I love, like that red Gyarados, and I get to redesign it to fit into a human form, and I get to make the costume, I get to design the costume, and then I get to wear it. And then it's especially awesome when someone recognizes what you are, even though you're not you don't really look that much like the original thing anymore, but they still will recognize it. I plan on working as a prop maker as long as I can. I don't plan on stopping. It's my dream job. I've wanted to make something cosplay related my job since I started, and it has happened, so I'm gonna stick with it and go with it for as long as I can make it go. The people who are involved in cosplay and already like cosplay think it's amazing, and they think it's one of the best things in the world, but you find somebody who's on the outside looking in, they might not understand it. They don't really know why you want to spend all that time and money making a costume just to wear it once at a convention and then put it away forever, because I've done that. And they don't understand why you get so attached to fictional characters. They don't understand why you want to dress up outside of Halloween. So playing video games or watching anime or movies or anything like that is an escape from reality, and cosplay itself is also an escape from reality, because you get to pretend that you are that character and that you are on that adventure, and people will refer to you as your character's name too when they see you, because they don't know who you are, but they recognize your character. So they're gonna say, "Hey, you're Sheik from Legend of Zelda. I loved you in Ocarina of Time," and it's really funny, and it's a nice feeling when somebody else will come up to you and say that they love the character just as much as you do. It really bonds people together.
You can follow Shayna's latest endeavors by checking her out on Patreon or finding her on Facebook.